Do you remember what it was like to cycle in the Sydney CBD 10 years ago? Well, I can tell you that there was no bicycle infrastructure, no cycleways to help cyclists get to where they were going. In this episode, I hope to show you where we've come in the last 10 years and where we may be going in the future. Hey guys, thanks for joining another episode of Ride with Mike. Today I'm starting my ride at the Milsons Point staircase, where I plan to ride over the Sydney Harbour Bridge, down Kent Street, east on Liverpool Street, then south up Castlereagh Street before finishing at Prince Alfred Park near Central Train Station. The first part of this journey is over the picturesque Sydney Harbour Bridge Cycleway. This leg is 1.6 kilometres long on a dedicated cycleway connecting North Sydney at Milsons Point with Kent Street in the Sydney CBD. The entire western side of the Harbour Bridge has been dedicated to bikes only, and according to Roads and Maritime Cycling data in 2016, the average daily ridership of the cycleway is 1,900 bikes, up from 1,100 a decade ago, making the Harbour Bridge crossing the busiest link in the metro bike network. The RMS is currently investigating plans for new north and south cycleway ramps so cyclists don't have to dismount and to better connect the Sydney Harbour Bridge with Kent Street and Milsons Point. Next up is the Kent Street Cycleway. This bi-directional path runs through the heart of Sydney CBD, linking the Harbour Bridge in the city's north to Chinatown in the city's south. The main section was completed in January 2011 and the final extension completed in 2015. 45 bike locker rings have been installed along Kent Street, providing cyclists a safe and secure place to lock their bike while carrying out their activities. According to the City of Sydney bicycle counting statistics, the cycleway is used by about 1,300 cyclists each weekday during their commute to work. There's a lot of stop starting on Kent Street. Every few hundred metres you have to put on the brakes because cyclists get every red light at every cross intersection as they have to give priority to vehicles turning left. For this reason, some cyclists prefer to ride on Kent Street or the bus lane on York Street with the traffic to try and avoid all of this. Kent Street seamlessly blends into Liverpool Street Cycleway. It runs in an east-west direction and passes places like Chinatown, George Street where there's a lot of tramway construction works going on, World Square, lots of restaurants and bars, and Sydney Central Local Court. It's a relatively short cycleway compared to the Sydney Harbour Bridge in Kent Street, but it definitely has a more lively atmosphere than Kent. As usual when riding, you need to be extra careful with all the people around and tram construction works going on. On more than one occasion during this ride, people stepped out onto the cycleway without looking right in front of me, without a moment's notice. They would often use it as an extension of the footpath or wait in at flagging taxis with their suitcases. Anyway, Liverpool Street is over before you know it, and then you're on the Castlereagh Street Cycleway. On the other hand, Castlereagh Street is pretty uneventful except for that bike that's been hung off that street sign. But at least it's all downhill if you're heading towards Central Station into Belmore Park. One of the last stops on this ride is Central Station, where as you can see it's surrounded by construction due to the light rail works going on. The light rail is scheduled for completion in 2020 and promises to remove hundreds of buses from the roadways and cars from the heart of the city. For obvious reasons it's a go slow in this area as everything's just a mess until these works finish up. These cycleways have been 10 years in the making and as you can see we've come a long way. But what still has a long way to go is motorists and pedestrians' attitudes towards the cycleway and cyclists in general. As I said earlier, people would often step out into the cycleway without looking, and especially on Kent Street, cars and delivery vans would turn straight into driveways with no care in the world. Last but not least is Prince Alfred Park. The nexus from Central Station to Redfern has recently gone through a $9 million redevelopment, which included playgrounds, a new heated pool, plus an exercise circuit for walkers, joggers and cyclists. Well, that brings us to the end of another episode. If you like this one, please don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button below. And as always, see you on the next trail.